You want leads, I want leads. Everyone wants qualified real-time leads. That's why we're going to dig down into two tools meeting this criteria: Serper.dev and scalability. Let's break it down, shall we? Let's start with Serper.dev. As its suffix shows, it's a tool mainly created for developers, allowing us to scalably use Google API. I said API. I should rather have said APIs. Actually, you can find the full list of official APIs on console.cloud.google.com, and you literally have access to hundreds of them. Of course, on Serper.dev, they had to make a choice and pick up only the most useful ones. Among them, we can find Google search, images, videos, places, maps, reviews, news, shopping, image search, Scholar, patents, autocomplete, and web page. So, if we want to gather leads, we might use Google search, but it's not the most obvious option we have. Something which is more relevant is Google Maps, because on Google Maps we can find any small and medium-sized businesses. This is a perfect option to go. But first thing first, let's create a Python project. We call it Serper.dev. We have our query, meaning we are proceeding the same way as when we are making a normal Google search. For example, if I type real estate agency near New York, here is my query and here is my result. So let's come back to our playground. Here is my query and it has been changed. The GPS position and zoom level. That one is a bit more tricky. Every time I move my cursor, every time I'm showing another location, the URL changes a little bit. Have you noticed it? Right, this part has changed. And this is where the coordinates are located, the same as with the zoom level. We always start with the latitude followed by the longitude. And finally, the zoom level is followed by the letter Z. So here is my new parameter. Let's come back, here we go. Language, English, okay. And the number of pages. And we are good to go, let's click on search. And for each and every one of our leads, we have the following data fields: the position, the title, the address, the latitude, the longitude, the rating count, the type, and the types. Because on Google Maps, every business is linked to a single main type. But also, and this is optional, with up to 9 subtypes. For example, you can be a male or a female, that's your main type. Fortunately, other specificities can define you: your job, location, marital status, which can be considered your subtypes. They are things you can't really see at first glance, but they remain important nonetheless. The website, the phone numbers, opening hours, the thumbnail URL, CID, FID, and place ID. Now, once we are aware of this, that the code is working, maybe we can copy and paste it on a Python script to see if we can scale things up. What about this? But as I've said, I'm not super comfortable with coding, and by not comfortable I mean I really suck, which is why in these cases what I'm usually doing is using Claude.ai. Generally speaking, Claude does a better job than ChatGPT when it comes to coding. But first, let's see if that works. I can copy it. Let's install the request model, of course. Pip install request. Rerun main, and we have our results. We might want to download it somewhere, to store it somewhere. Probably a JSON file will do, but it's not extremely readable for a human being. For this reason, I will go for CSV file. What I've done is collect the data fields which were already in JSON format, and I've pasted the whole result into Claude along with the following prompt. Here are the data fields for one item. Make sure to download the result in a CSV file containing all columns. I come back to my Python script and I paste the updated version. I have to install the module pandas, of course. Pip install pandas, and the file has been downloaded. Let's check it out now. How many leads do we have? 20, as expected, with the following columns, which were the same ones as in the JSON file. Okay, now one question remains: how do we make sure to scale our request? For those who don't know, what's behind the word scalability? Scalability is the idea that we can get 100,000 leads just as easily as getting 100 leads. It's like if I promised you that running a 100-meter race would be just as simple as running a marathon. That's not an obvious statement, is it? Because we're able to extract results by batch of 20, but we won't get really far with it. So how do we make sure? How do we change our code in order to extract multiple pages at once? And we can even go further. How do you make multiple requests at once? For now, we are only focused on real estate agencies in New York City. Real estate agency is one Google Maps category. One among 4,000. In other words, we can scale our lead generation by changing that variable, by making it not static but dynamic. But that's not all. We can also adjust the location. New York is not the only US city after all. So we can perfectly set up a dynamic variable for that too. Wait, slow down. That might not be that simple. Take a closer look at the location. It's actually a mix of different factors. The word near never changes. It's followed by a city. Let's make it a dynamic variable, followed by the related state, and wrapped up with the country. All that to say that you can make an insane number of combinations. Unfortunately, complexity increases a bit, but before jumping into it, let's make an introduction regarding Scrub.io. It's not a tool created for developers, it's a tool created for everyone, to the point that even my cat or my 90-year-old sick grandmother are able to use it. So once I've logged in, you end up with this playground. And this playground is much easier because you don't have any code to write, any code to test. Instead, you have an activity to insert among the 4,000 we have talked about. And you have location criteria, country, level 1 division. If we pick up the case of the US, level 1 division refers to the states and level 2 division to the counties. I can also pick up a city, something random, Grambling. I hope I do not massacre the name. And the point is that I don't have to specify an activity if I don't need to. Because if I click on search right now, I will get all activities, meaning all Google Maps categories in Grambling. So it seems it's not a super huge city, but that's okay, because I can change my request in just 30 seconds. Let's pick up real estate agency in New York, or I can even say New York here, New York County. And in the US, the level 1 division is required when searching the level 2 division, so I have to pick up the state related to New York, which I'm not sure what that is. It's New York. Okay, makes sense. So with that, I'm able to get a database related to a state. You can also filter your results. I only want to get opened businesses with an email address and at least 10 reviews. If I click on filter, well, the filters will be applied. Now, that's not all. You have something at the top of your screen, which is your exports tab. And as its name suggests, you have access to all the exports you have done so far. So here I've only extracted a sample of 30 data rows, from which I can take a look in a CSV or Excel file. So now we can make a side-by-side comparison. So this is a file from Serper.dev, and this is a file from Scrub.io. By the way, you can get up to 70 different columns. So what's best is that if you want to check them all out, you can find a link in the description in which you will find a sample. But among the most useful columns, you can find, of course, the name, the main type and all types, a website, a phone number, the IDs, the email address, social media links, reviews count, SEO related data, additional email addresses, additional contact pages, additional social media links, and we wrap the whole thing with website technologies and website app pixels. Now let's come back to our previous concern. We were discussing the scalability concerning Serper.dev. We have said we have multiple ways of scaling things up. Among other things, we can create a dynamic variable for the category or for the location. But before doing all of these things, we can make sure to fetch more pages. So let's see what the code looks like. If I increase the number of pages, I have a new parameter. So I copy that example, I come back to Claude and I paste my code alongside the following prompt. Adjust the code by including the parameter page, make sure to fetch 10 pages. Let's start slowly for first attempt. For each page, the value increases by 1, so stop the loop after 10 repetitions. And let's verify the script until we reach page 10 out of 10. So we should get 200 results, and we have 200 results. So again, that's one way of doing it. Of course, we can also scale it by changing our variables. We have talked about that previously. Actually, we have made an entire video about the topic, about how to scrape data on Google Maps at scale. Now, the whole process seems to be simple, but simple is not equal to easy. And the point is that everything I have done previously, I can do the very same thing using Scalability with just a couple of clicks. Real estate agencies in the US, I click on search. I have about a lot of results. So of course I won't export it right now because it will take quite a lot of time. So let's check it out if I already have a file containing a lot of results, a lot of data rows. And here is something, restaurant in the US with a Facebook account, 200,000 leads, not bad. Look at this. They are all there. So if you want to get your leads without spending 30 minutes on it, you can get your first 100 leads from Serper.io totally offered with the link in the description.